Welcome to New England Lacrosse Journal's Chasing the Goal podcast, your destination for all things lacrosse. I'm your host, Kyle Devitt, and in the studio is Mr. Jack Piatelli. Jack, how the heck are we doing, man?
I'm a little upset in this new month, New England Lacrosse Journal.
Yeah.
Great piece, Face Off. Did you write that piece?
I did not, actually.
Well, but
I
very
was
good
out.
piece. We got to talk about that sometime. But
I wrote like one thing in that issue. It came at a very bad time. But yeah, it's a good issue though. It's got some solid stuff.
got a great issue, and they actually advertise New England Lacrosse Journal's podcast.
Yeah.
And they have your name in big bold letters and mine just below yours in small little letters. I don't understand that at all. But
it's weird how that happens.
It should be reversed.
I feel like my name's bigger.
I pretty much carry the show. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No. Hey, listen, I'm not one of the ad guys. I'm just a writer and a talking monkey on a podcast. So
hey, let me say one more thing.
Yeah.
Our next guest, I'm really excited about because he's had the same difficulty with his knees as what you're going through right now. So he's going to give you some good advice on how to recover, because I'm tired of hearing you complain about it. And, you got to toughen up a little bit. I mean, this next guest, I think he bought his knee 3 times and he never complained about it. And you did it once. And every time I talk to you, you're complaining how miserable you are.
Yeah. We've had a little talk about that offline, and it's 4 times, Jack. So we might as well just bring him in. It's Mr. Ken Clausen, currently with the HEADstrong Foundation, formerly with you at Warrior, Jack, and also a UVA great and a Denver Outlaw to boot. Ken, how's it going, man?
Going great. Yeah, guys, thanks for having me. Excited to be here. I feel for you on the knee. I do. It's not easy. I think my advice yesterday when we started, chatting offline was it sucks. It does. And it gets better, but it's tough. It's not an easy thing to go through. So
I'm really just looking forward to walking and showering. That'd be great.
Yep.
I'm feeling like I'm out here in like the desert with wipes.
It gives you some perspective real quick.
And I wouldn't recommend you coming back to play unless you're really 100% sure that, you're worthy of getting back out on the field, because, I had a conversation with Ken before he joined the podcast, and he was telling me, he'd love to get out there and play up at Lake Placid in the over 30, over 40, whatever it is, Grand Masters. But he's blown it out so many times that, he just doesn't want to have to go through that again, blowing out his knee and the rehabilitation and just everything about it. So you got to really think about this seriously, Kyle, and whether you're going to come back and play lacrosse again.
Yeah, no, I mean, I can't imagine going through it 4 times. Ken, you're the toughest man alive. I can't imagine doing it 4 times.
Or dumbest, it's yeah, you come back and play. The reality is you got to be willing to accept the consequences of it could happen again. It's certainly something you don't want to happen. You rehab to make sure it doesn't. For me, I did it 3 times in 1 year, tearing it, which was that shouldn't happen. It was also, that was my own ignorance at times. I'd never had an injury like this before, meaning I never had it, I never had serious, I was so fortunate not to have any serious injuries in college. And any injury I'd ever had throughout my career was kind of a pain tolerance based. Can you get back? Can you tough it out? Whether it's football or cross. And the knee has nothing to do with that. It's all about the strength of the knee and how strong is your knee. And I found that out quickly. My first practice back with the Denver Outlaws, I tore my first time playing with Mammoth. Rehabbed so hard. 6-7 months later, first practice back with the Outlaws, tore it in my first 20 minutes of practice. And I was probably at 85%, and I kept telling myself, I'm good enough. Part of that was ego. Part of that was angst to get back and desire, and you feel like you'd worked so hard, and I just didn't realize. I always tell guys now when I'm talking about the knee that the good enough isn't good enough. That's not what it's about. It has to be, is it as strong or stronger than your other knee or than it was previously? And if it's not, then you're gonna have issues, and that's what I faced. And I think that you see this steady progress throughout rehab, and that last 15%, 85 to 100, takes the longest and it's the hardest. And you're so close. It's the hardest because it takes the most work. It's the hardest because you're so close, and mentally you want to get back and you feel like you're good. And you might have, like I said, ego. You're like, I'm better than that guy. I can get back. I can play better. It has nothing to do with anyone else. It has everything to do with you. And then how strong is it? And can you close that gap? And it's going to take some time to do it. And so it took me a while to understand that. And yeah, ended up missing 3 years playing, 2011, 12, 13, all rehabbing and going through surgeries but ended up getting back, be able to play, which I felt really fortunate after, 3 tears and 4 surgeries to get back playing, and playing at a high level. I felt like was really fortunate. My dad blew his knee out when he was in high school, and that was the end of sports for him, and so for me to be able to get back and do that, I felt really good about. And then, got playing back a couple of years, won a championship with Outlaws in 14, which was awesome. And then 2016 playing with the Launch, blew it for a 4th time, and that was it for me. But
I remember when that happened, I was writing about I was doing a preseason preview, I think, and I forgot to put you in it, and Bachlet went after me hard for being like, they don't have another poll, like I don't know what they're doing, all this stuff. And he's just like, what are you talking about? Like, Ken Clausen's here. I'm like, I thought he was out for like 2 years, like it's one of those like things where it's the technology to and the science has kind of caught up to make things a little bit more progressive, I think, in terms of the surgery being more. I mean, listen, it's all turf, baby. That's the increase in the injury is because of turf, and anyone that tells you otherwise is lying to you or owns a turf company. So, I know I know it's kind of boring to just talk about an injury to like me. I'm just some dumb writer, but like it happens a lot in lacrosse. I think it's relevant. It's a huge part of the game, and the mental strength to come back. Like my whole thing is when I heard it, I was like, all right, here's a year, like there's a year in my life. And, it's only been like 2 months or whatever, but you tie your identity to it. You tie your identity to lacrosse, and that's like a really big part of everything. I mean, even Jack, like you've been hurt, you've had a hernia in the past, like you've had to stop playing, and you played all the way up until like 2 years ago, right? I mean, like you love it. Like that's
right. Yeah. And believe it or not, I'm heading to Hawaii at the end of the month to play in the 60 and older division.
Love it.
Whoa.
Yes. So
that's an exclusive for the podcast.
Yes. And I'm in a serious training program right now. Doing hot yoga, some boxing.
Who is this guy?
Yeah, I'm getting myself back into shape. But I mean, the game is so much fun to play. I mean, I played seriously until I was 50, but very fortunate that I didn't have any knee problems. But I think playing ice hockey helped my legs, my knees, my ankles. I played a lot of hockey and strengthened a lot of the muscles around the knees and the ankles and so on and so forth. But Ken, last question about your injuries to your knees, the ACL. Was it more difficult to recover mentally or physically?
I think physically, like, I think because I was just stubborn. Like I wanted to come back. I wanted to play. Now with that being said, like when I got back, there was, I had this hitch in my step, and it was a mental hurdle that I wasn't conscious of, like I wasn't aware of, but I knew I wasn't reacting as quick as I wanted to. And I kept like, come on, like get it going. And finally, like it started happening where I was getting my step back and starting to improve. But I think physically it's a challenge. Like you got to stick to rehab. It's a grind. It's a lonely process. Like you're on your own. I think when you start getting back to walking, you start like people don't recognize it either. So it's not like, oh, how's your knee doing? They just assume you're okay because you're walking and you're doing things, and you're like, it's all right. Like, but I gotta ways. Like it's just a grind. But I think that one of the things that I did, because I was sitting there, I told you I missed 3 years, and I'm sitting there looking at my peers playing and getting better. And I'm like, how in the world am I going to get back and play at this level? I've missed this time. I'm injured. I'm not going to be the same player. Not to say I can't be the same, but I think I was aware of, hey, look, I've just had 3 ACLs, 4 surgeries. If I expect myself to step on the field and be a cover guy, which is what I was throughout college and my career, I think that's a bit crazy to think that like that's going to just happen. And so what I started doing was I started coaching, and I started learning the game. Like I was I didn't know that much. You know, I could cover guys. I knew enough, of course, like, but it's one of the great things about lacrosse. There's so much to learn. There's always more to learn. There's so much nuance to it, and different things and different styles and techniques and strategies. I started just burying myself in the game, watching film and coaching teams. I think that coaching is the best way to really get involved in that, because you start thinking, how do I articulate that? Instead, I was always a player that, well, tell me why. Why do I do this? Don't tell me just what to do. Tell me why. And I think when you start having to articulate that as a coach, you start understanding, all right, well, what is the offense doing, and why are they doing it, and what are they trying to do? And ultimately, that injury is what, you know, set me on this path of coaching. Both high school, it led me to coaching the Denver Outlaws after I retired, to coaching with the PLL Atlas for 2 years. And so for me, that was a big silver lining. Like, the injury, not great, changed my career a bit and like what I was doing, but it put me on this other path of coaching and learning and becoming I felt like I was always a student of the game. I didn't know as much. Like, I knew what I knew, and I knew what I needed to be good at what I did. And it was really starting to open my eyes to other things. And so that's something I'm always encouraging to different players. You know, I'm always talking to different players, high school, pro, whomever. If they have any injury, I'm happy to talk with them about it and share my experience of what to do and what not to do. But coaching really came of that. You know, was learning the game more, and it extended my career and being involved in the sport longer. And so, so from that standpoint, the mental piece really had an uptick. I learned a lot, like, and I got to understand the game more, and it was pretty great in that regard.
For those people listening, may not know that Ken Clausen was one of the best players to ever put on a uniform at Virginia. You were a 3-time first-team All-American. Has that ever happened again?
Schellenberger did it. Yeah. So Schellenberger just did it. He's gonna have a chance to go for 4-time first team now, which is just awesome. I hope he certainly gets there and makes it happen. But yeah, no, I was the first, which is crazy. Like, looking back, there's so many great Virginia players. And to be the first to do that, I mean, look, I always, you know, it's a credit to the teammates I had, to the coaches I had. Like, that doesn't happen without them, the inspiration they gave, you know, watching the work that they put in and day out. And with all that being said, you know, when I was there, we didn't win a national championship, you know, and I would trade any personal accolade away to go to win one of those. You know, we were close. We lost in 3 Final Fours. So, you know, it was disappointing. You know, that's what you play for. You don't play, at least, you know, you don't play for the individual accolades. They're great, and they're great to come by, but you play to win. And fell short of it. So with that being, you know, they won the year before I was there. They won the year after. That year after was so special. I mean, I was at those games. It was, you know, what a journey they had as a team, and with everything we went through, you know, my senior year there, you know, with Yardley, like, it was, that was really special to see them come back and win and do all that. So, yeah, super proud of everything we accomplished and what we had been through. But, you know, it was, you played well.
I actually, I saw a quote. You were quoted saying that you wished every student athlete could experience the Final Four like you were able to, and you got to experience it 3 different times. Talk a little bit about your experience and what it's like to play in the Final Four.
I mean, it's the Mecca, right? I mean, it's like, it's what you're striving for. You're the Final Four. Like, there's just a elevated level of both pressure, but excitement. You know, like, even like little things, like, you get a police escort to the game. Like, what a cool thing that is. You know, you get these, but, you know, talk about butterflies before a game, but then you have this police escort, you have these different things. You have these meetings with the teams, like, you know, where you're kind of in a group, and then you're going off and doing your own thing, but like, just the camaraderie, but the competition, the fanfare around it. It's everything you dream of as a kid, right? Is to get to that point, to get to that level. And man, like, we had some incredible games. My sophomore year playing Syracuse, going to double overtime, and what may have been the biggest crowd ever at a Final Four. I think it's somewhere in that realm, whether it was the top or not. I think it was 50,000 people or so, like, going. I mean, I remember the crowd was so loud, you couldn't hear the defenseman, you couldn't hear communication, and so you're just looking at each other like, we're gonna have to go off instinct and trust, and you start thinking about all the practice you put in and all the times you're doing all these things. Like, it's coming down to this and what you're working on. And you know, unfortunately, losing in double overtime. I was covering Mike Lavelle, who, when he scored, so that was heartbreaking and learning experience, but an incredible experience, nonetheless. And then, playing Cornell the next year, and we got destroyed. Like they just rolled us, which was another experience. like okay, like we got to figure some things out there. And they had such an incredible team. I think Pinnell was a freshman, and Seabald, and just like what a great group they had there. And then my senior year, losing in the last couple of seconds to Duke, with Quinzani and Crotty, and their incredible team. I think that, yeah, I mean, Syracuse had gone on to win. Cornell ended up losing that heartbreaker to Syracuse in the championship, and then Duke went on to win. Just some incredible battles, times that you can't forget. Sometimes you wish maybe you could, or you remembered it a bit differently. But it's the way that sports go, and it's a privilege to be there. Not everyone gets the chance to go and compete on that stage. It was awesome. I mean, it was really, really great.
I believe your sophomore and junior year, those games were played at Gillette, correct?
Yep. And maybe was my senior year? Maybe senior year was Baltimore. Maybe I can't even.
I think it was Philly.
Gillette. Was it Philly? I don't think it was Philly. Maybe I'm wrong, but I thought I would have remembered like Philly, because Philly was my home spot. Like I don't think it. Oh. I don't know.
It was probably Baltimore. Yeah, it was like this weird handoff that is still happening, right, between these like three places.
I know.
It's like, we can only have the game here.
Yeah, and I remember Gillette, because even like with the Atlas, like at least in my head, like I remember when we lost to the Water Dogs in my last season coaching with them, just being like, Gillette, like, damn you, like I've had too many losses here. Like, oh man, another loss at Gillette. I'm not the biggest fan of that stadium, but it is beautiful spot. Just haven't had the most success there. But yeah.
Well, you are an Eagles fan, so
I am.
Makes sense. You don't want to
go Birds. Birds. Had to have this for the call,
I feel like everyone in lacrosse, this is like the inside baseball of lacrosse. Everyone in lacrosse is a fan of like 5 teams, and the teams are the Patriots, the Eagles, the Bills, the Ravens, and what's the other one?
Jets, Giants.
Probably Giants more than Jets. I don't know any Jets fans, to be honest with you. Yeah. Not anymore anyway. Not since week 1. It's been a rough run. It's my only dig, because the Patriots are not good this year. Let's kind of dive a little deeper into your post-playing career and not coaching as well. You were kind of the guy behind Mustache Madness for HEADstrong. It's a huge fundraising initiative for that organization. Can you talk a little bit about how that happened and your role in that?
No. So Mustache Madness, I mean, I started working full time with HEADstrong this past March, but I've been, as you were mentioning, like I've been working with them for about 14 years now. And that started, going back towards my senior year at Virginia. I'd been looking for a while. I think even since like high school, was trying to figure out a way to give back and do something. And I just didn't really know what to do. I was a volunteer teacher at Virginia for 4 years, like once a week going out to a local elementary school and helping teach and do things like that. Like I was always trying to find ways to give back. And part of that was just, I always felt like I recognized that I wanted to do it, but I knew I had a platform at Virginia. Like I had an opportunity. People came to the games, the little kids would ask for autographs. I remember like even the first game, people being like, can I have your autograph? I'm like, what? Like, are you crazy? Like I felt like there was some power and privilege there, and I wanted to be able to utilize it in a really great way. And so I was kind of trying to find something to do. And I had this silly, finger stash tattoo, and I had it, the mustache on the head of my lacrosse stick, and it kind of became a thing. I saw, kids would come up and just hold their finger up, and I'd give them a stash. They knew about it. And so when I heard about this idea of growing mustaches and raising money, it resonated with me. It clicked immediately. And I went back to my team and started talking to some guys on the team. Hey, this is my idea. And a bunch of guys kind of looked at me like I'm crazy. And what are you talking about? How does this work? And I met this, one of our players, Todd Fiella, immediately was like, done. I want to do that with you. Like, let's make this happen. And so we kind of started brainstorming, collaborated with our trainer who's still there today, Rebecca Vozo, who's awesome. And she had, some experience with fundraising in the past. And we put this together and started, doing this. And I think in our first year, the concept was grow your mustache out and have different teams participate. And so make it both a team and an individual kind of fundraising competition. And that was back in the fall of 2009. I think we raised about $30,000, that first year, which we felt like, God, we were over the moon. I couldn't believe it. Like, how did we just do that? That was so cool. And And flash forward now 14 years later, that same event, typically, it raises now about $600,000 in that same, 6-week period span. And so over the last 14 years, we've raised over $3 million for HEADstrong. We've had, thousands of kids participate and hundreds of teams each year participate. And it's, I think we feel like becoming really like a staple in the lacrosse community, certainly during fall ball and things like that. And it's been really awesome to see it really just kind of continue to grow and have more and more people participate and to continue educating people about HEADstrong. It's led to me, a full-time job, as I said, like working full-time with HEADstrong. And I didn't ever expect that to be the case when I started it. And it really lent itself to like, just, it had these, we chose HEADstrong. We started partnering with HEADstrong because HEADstrong was lacrosse. Nick Cavaliers was a lacrosse player who played at Hofstra and who started this foundation, so that others can benefit from his memory and from his life. He really wanted to utilize his platform and his circumstance to help others. He felt like, he recognized early on in his diagnosis that the burden this was placing on his family, emotionally, financially, and that his family wasn't alone in this, that other families on his floor at the hospital were struggling, that this was a challenge, and that there was kind of a void here, or a need to support families affected by cancer. And that's what HEADstrong does. That's our mission: support families affected by cancer. That's what Nick wanted. And so that's what we do, is we support families in the midst of their fight and their battle. And for me, choosing, working with HEADstrong, I had these really cool similarities with Nick that was like, one, he was from Southeastern PA, which is where I was from. He was number 27, which happened to be my number I was given at Virginia. He was a defenseman and I was a defenseman. And so we had these really cool just similarities where I'm like, of course I'm going to gravitate towards this, let alone the mission is so cool and so tangible. You see the patients, you see the families, the real people in your community that we're helping. And a couple years into working with HEADstrong on this, I found out, and Pat Cavaliers, Nick's brother, who I work closely with, had said, why don't we start it? Nick's birthday's in October. Why don't we start it on Nick's birthday? It gives us a little bit of separation from November. It adds some more weeks to fundraise. It kind of makes this more involved in, throughout fall ball. I'm like, well, that's great. Let's do it. What's his birthday? He goes October 19th. And I still get goosebumps. I was like, Pat, that's my birthday. Like we share the same birthday. And so to have all these similarities, Nick also grew his mustache out towards the end of his life. He was losing his hair. He lost his hair going through chemo, but he could still grow his mustache. And the immediate, whenever people would walk in the room, they would see Nick. And of course you're like, he doesn't have hair. You see this guy that, looks different, and the mustache that he grew out became a conversation starter. The term, Nick, what are you growing your mustache for? And so he had the mustache that he was growing, towards the end of his life. And so we had all these just similarities and connections with what was going on. And it's been a perfect fit. And it's been so cool to see continue to grow. And it's in part, so much thanks to the lacrosse community, which is such a special group and such a special community. And we can't be more appreciative of their continued efforts to support it and raise money and help people out, that are going through cancer. And it's been really neat. It's been really cool.
Hey, it's Bobby Moran, Director of Athletics at Thayer Academy. You know what? Experience matters, and Thayer Academy's professional coaching staff understands how to work with each student athlete to help them succeed. Our coaches and faculty are committed to ensuring both 5th to 12th graders feel known, connected, and prepared. This is Thayer's secret sauce, nurturing each student to reach their full potential. Here, success is truly a team sport. Are you ready for your child to take the next step? See what Thayer has to offer at thayer.org. That's THAYER.org.
Are you serious about playing your sport in college? Do you need a flexible education that allows you to maintain your practice and competition schedules while also preparing you to succeed at the next level? You should check out the University of Nebraska High School. UNHS is accredited and offers more than 100 online courses, including NCAA-approved courses to protect your academic eligibility. Students could earn a UNHS diploma or take a single course for transfer credit. Courses are college prep, self-paced, and available 24/7, 365. Enroll anytime and take up to a year to complete a course. Visit highschool.nebraska.edu today.
Once again, Piatelli Lacrosse has a great way for you to stay in shape and play lacrosse this winter. Starting in January, our indoor lacrosse program will take place at Four Kicks in Taunton. This program is open to youth and high school players of all ages, regardless of school or club affiliation. The up-tempo pace of indoor box lacrosse is an excellent way for players to learn to play faster and develop new skills that will make you more effective on the field come spring. Coaches will be provided for each game, and all players will take part in a mini clinic prior to their game where we will work on different box lacrosse skills. Make the most of your off-season and play some box lacrosse. For more information on our Winter Box Lacrosse League, visit piatellilacrosse.com. That's Piatelli lacrosse.com.
Yeah, back when I was at Inside Lacrosse, it was a huge initiative, and I was the gear guy, so I got all the HEADstrong gear. I still have some of it somewhere around me. I'm sure it's in this apartment. The shoelaces were ubiquitous for a while. Like everybody had those. It'd be like, and if they didn't have them, they'd be like, "Oh, what are those? How do you have those?" And it's great how you've managed to make the message viral, which I think a lot of companies, much less charities and charitable organizations, strive so hard for. And you've had the support of the lacrosse community for so long. And one of the reasons we're having you on the podcast is, the HEADstrong Foundation is partnering with BU, and they're doing a fundraiser for fall ball for the men's and women's teams as well as HEADstrong. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, we're really excited. I mean, look, so a couple of things. One, with regards to the event, like we're October 14th at Nickerson Field at BU. Like we're hosting a fall ball event, and it's both men's and women's teams. Like the women's teams, BU, Brown, UConn, they're playing in the morning. The men's teams, BU, UMass Lowell, and Manhattan, they're all playing. It's $10 admission fee. 100% of those proceeds are going towards the foundation and the families that we support. And so we're really excited to be up there. We also have like a 12:30, at 12 and 12:30, an information session that we're holding, at the event for people to come and hear more about HEADstrong and what's going on and what we're doing and what we're about. And that's going to be taking place at like the Case Center rooftop at BU. And so the reason that we're doing this, like we always have a fall ball series. We've got one at Hofstra, we've got an event at VMI, we've got all these different fall ball events, but Boston is becoming a focus for us. We are expanding our reach and our support into the Boston community. So the three things that we really do, like our three pillars of support at HEADstrong is emotional support, financial support, where we're issuing financial grants to families and to help them, and residential housing. And so we've got a wonderful place called Nick's House in Swarthmore, PA. It hosts 6 to 7 families at a time. Families stay there free of charge while they're getting life-saving treatment in Philadelphia. And so it's such a cool place where families are in and out throughout the year. It's saved, we provide over 3,000 nights of complimentary care, free complimentary care to these, or lodging, I should say, to these families throughout the year. We are looking to expand our Nick's House into Boston. We're looking to open a new facility in Boston. And we chose our location based off where major cancer treatment facilities are. And so we are so proud and so excited to be moving and opening a Nick's House into Boston. We're currently looking for a property. We're checking out a bunch of different spots and trying to figure out what feels right. But we're really excited for the growth. And like the way Nick's House work is, we've got both a family member and the patient staying in one room together. Whereas like, Ronald McDonald, which is so wonderful in its own right, but it's for the family member, right? The patients in the hospital. And so to be able to have both family and patient in the same facility or in the same room is just a big piece for us, right? It allows, whether it's parents to stay with kids or stay with your spouse, or to have that support, let alone the support system of other families in that house. It's really an incredible spot. We always encourage, if teams are coming down in the Philly area, college teams, high school teams, to stop by Nick's House. We'd love to show you what it is and what's going on there, and really put a face to the name and understand where the money that's being raised is going to support. But yeah, we're so excited to be expanding into that Boston area. And so we're really trying to network and get up there and introduce ourselves to people that may not be as familiar, or get them to learn more about what we're doing. And we're so proud about that, excited about that fall ball event on October 14th taking place at BU.
Nice. So there's all the details for that are on laxjournal.com if you want to check that out. Let's kind of talk a little bit more about your time with Jack at Warrior before we transition back into Headstrong. I always thought you were part of this kind of group of players that were there was like a divide in the MLL and the pro after college where guys would go coach and be assistants, and then there was guys that would kind of be sponsored athletes for different companies. And back then, I think that was right around the time that the MLL was allowing other companies to bid in. But Warrior was the main one forever. And, you were kind of the second or third class of guys that came in and kind of joined not only just marketing, but also, working with Jack and doing sales and things like that. Can you, let me put it a better way. I need your best Jack Piatelli story because he's right here. Give me your best one.
Jack Piatelli story. Goodness, I should have prepped for that. I'm trying to think. I have so many great memories with Jack. I mean, we were just talking the other day. God, his boys that are all in college or graduated college now. Like, I've got a great pic of both Jack and I, and Jack and one of his kids at an Outlaws game from, it must have been like 2014, 15, something like that. And so I found one of those old pics. I've got it saved on my computer here and was sharing that with him. That nothing makes me feel older than like seeing that in his kids so young. And now it's like they're in college, graduating college, doing all these great things. I'm like, wait, wasn't that just yesterday? I feel like that was just yesterday we were doing that. Warrior was such a blast, I worked for them for about 10 years, and I got nothing but the best of memories. I think that, it was, to your point, like I got out of school and they started talking to me about, being an athlete, a marketing figure, things like that. And, what I said was, that's great. I want a job. That's what I want. Like, this is all great, the marketing, and I'm more than happy to do all that. But do you have a job opening? Like, I want to do that. And as it happened to work out, like they were looking for a new sports marketing rep in Denver. I got picked up by the Outlaws. I took one trip out there. It worked kind of in the reverse fashion. I took one trip out there, fell in love with Denver, grabbed my then girlfriend, now wife, and said, we're going to Denver. Let's move out there. Then started looking for a job, talked to Josh Sims. They were looking to hire. It happened real quick. And lo and behold, I go out to Denver and I'm out there for 10, 12 years, starting to live, life post-college. And so it was, that for me was a really cool step to be able to turn both, a marketing piece or like whether it was popularity or whatever, like they wanted to do something with marketing and turn that into a job I couldn't have been more fortunate and happy about that situation. And we had some really good times. Like it was a fun time at Warriors history. I think I probably jumped in right at like the heyday of like in terms of lacrosse. And then, you just started having other companies jump in and different things start happening. The sport was growing in different ways and like, and all for the better, I think, but it was, we had some fun times, like kind of getting in, it was a great group, a lot of former players, legends that I couldn't be, more happy to be around, like Jack or Catrano or Millen and Bugs, and just like all these different guys that were there that was just added such a cool flavor. Of course, Morrow, like and his story and everything. Like it was really neat to be a part of that and be a part of that group. And it was fun. It was fun. But I know that wasn't the best Piatelli story. I got to think. I have to, chew on that a bit. I don't have 2 minutes. I don't have any.
You can give me one offline. It's really good.
That's probably
just so I have it.
Yeah, I don't got any dirt on Jack. He's ace. That guy's good. He's got a clean slate.
Ken, I remember when you started growing your mustache many years ago when we were at Warrior, and you were, brought some attention to HEADstrong. I didn't know what HEADstrong was, and it's really amazing how far they've come and where they're headed, coming to Boston and everything. What is exactly your role with HEADstrong? What are your responsibilities?
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, no, thanks for asking. It's so I jumped on in March leading. I'm the national director for Attack Cancer. So that's my title. I'm leading one of our national campaigns called Attack Cancer. And then like what that is it's focused towards more youth and high school lacrosse players, allowing them to use their sport as a platform to raise money for the foundation. And so the way that works, you go to attackcancer.com. You create, join. There's a join button you'll see on the left-hand side of the page. You click join. It takes about a minute to fill out your just kind of basic info, but it creates a fundraising page for you. You can edit that fundraising page to be however you want. You don't have to. But you start sharing that fundraising page on social media, and it can be something as broad as, hey, look, this season I'm pledging my performance for families affected by cancer. Would you consider a donation? Or it can be as specific as you want. This season I'm pledging my performance for my grandmother who has cancer, my friend who's battling cancer, whatever you want it to be. Would you consider a donation, right? And it's, you're pledging money towards a foundation that supports families affected by cancer. And so for me, as I kind of mentioned earlier in the call, like I had always felt like I wanted to give back and do something. I didn't really know how. And I know that for me, if I was a high school student, college student, had seen something like Attack Cancer, I would have jumped on it. And so for me to be able to utilize, this platform now at HEADstrong to help encourage others, not everyone's going to be interested, and this doesn't have to resonate with everyone, but it's really about developing great servant leaders, right? People that know they have the ability to give back. They can use their platform as sport to do so, something that they're very comfortable with, playing lacrosse, playing football, playing basketball, whatever that sport may be, using that sport as a mechanism to help support others is something that I'm really proud of. I'm really excited to help kind of mentor these high school students in a way to kind of be able to do that. And so that's been really fun so far. We've had, over 1,400 student athletes this year, raise over $215,000 using this platform, Attack Cancer, to support others. And whether that's in the sense of pledging your whole season, pledging a game, having an Attack Cancer game, or things like that. I'm heading to a football game in Philadelphia, next weekend at Malvern Prep. They're hosting an Attack Cancer game for their homecoming game. And so, it's for all sports to participate in, and that's been really neat. And then the other piece of Attack Cancer that I've been working on is called Team Attack Cancer. And it's built in some of what we call experiential teams, these one-off teams to go to really neat events and raise money for the foundation. And so, for instance, like what we did this past summer, we had a group of 25 guys go up to Lake Placid. I had never been to Lake Placid. I'd always heard just the best things about the tournament. Obviously, we know the Lavells, Jack, and just such a great family. And so to be able to go up there and be a part of that was so special. But we had 25 guys, primarily from this, mid-Atlantic, right? Philadelphia, DC, Baltimore region. We had some outliers, like a guy from Boston that ended up might be able to come from injury, a guy from Texas. So it's not confined to any certain area. But the key for us was they were, for the most part, all rising seniors, right? Guys that had just finished their junior year, and all committed players. And why I think that's important is that this isn't meant to be something that competes with club lacrosse. They're committed, which means they're kind of, that recruiting piece is over. We know they're going to play the next level. It's towards the end of summer in this case with Placid. So there's nothing that really competes unless their club team is going to Placid, in which we would tell them, play with your club team. Like, that's your obligation. That's your team. But it's really trying to get a great group of guys to come together, learn more about the foundation, become more involved. And instead of paying a tournament fee, they have a fundraising commitment, right? So let's say it's $600. You have a fundraising commitment of $600. That's what you got to raise. We're going to help you, guide you throughout that process, what you got to do, how you can do it, certain messages, like learn more about the foundation. We had a campaign hero assigned to the team, a wonderful kid, Ryan Mackey, 13-year-old from Bethesda, Maryland, here where I live. I live in Severna Park, Maryland now. And he was our campaign hero. We had his logo on our uniform. The guys understood his story and what he's going through. We were breaking down team huddles, Mackey on 3 and doing that. Before the championship game, Ryan sent us a video of him, from his hospital bed. He's getting chemo currently. He couldn't come up to the tournament. He's currently battling, getting chemo. And he's doing great. I think, by the way, I was talking with his mom just earlier this week, and texting back and forth, emailing with her, and he sent us a video from his hospital wishing us luck and thanking us for what we were doing, for him. And there was no way we were losing that game. There was no chance. We were playing for something so much more. And these guys got to feel that and see that and understand that. And so we went on with this team that had never played together, had one practice, won the tournament, went undefeated. And this group of guys raised $46,000, right? Like, just an incredible effort from them. And really felt this connection to HEADstrong and what we were doing and how we did this. And a big credit to, Matt Rienzo, who helped coach his team. His son was on the team. We just had it's such a cool group of guys that was out there doing this. And it was really special. And so that's something that we're trying to do. We've got these high school, graduating type seniors, junior, senior committed level teams. And then we're building up in age, right? So we've got, we had an over 40 team that played in this local Chesapeake Cup here last weekend. We're trying to build up. And so that's kind of our niche that we're kind of carving out, not trying to compete. We want club teams to be really proud that their players are being a part of Team Attack Cancer rather than feeling like it's a threat or competition. We've tried to carve out this niche where it's an experience. It's a one-time team. This group's never going to play together again. It's going to be a brand new group next year. I mean, this group had such a great time. They're already talking about, can we get a team next year? Can we get this group back? I'm like, if you guys, yeah, we can, of course we can do that. But it's something that, you know, is meant to be this kind of one-off experience where they can become really involved in the foundation, learn more, see the money going to work in a sense, and be really proud of both efforts on the field, off the field, play for something more, and have a great experience. And it was really a cool trip. And yeah, we're excited to do it again next summer. You know, I'm starting to reach out to guys and starting to build that roster right now, you know, for Lake Placid next summer and getting that group going. So yeah, it's been really fun being able to, you know, be part of HEADstrong full time, leading this kind of charge with Attack Cancer of mentoring young kids, getting them more involved with servant leadership. And the message ultimately is, look, whether it's supporting HEADstrong or it's supporting any other foundation, this isn't meant to be, hey, involve you only in HEADstrong. It's, you have the power to do something and you have the power to make a difference. We're encouraging you to do it and helping show you how to do this and letting you be great leaders in your community, whether it's starting your own thing, participating in another fundraiser or other charity, or certainly continuing to support HEADstrong. It's just engaging people, young student athletes, boys and girls, to understand that they've got the power to make a difference. They can. It goes a long way. It does make a difference. And so it's been really cool to be doing that.
So Ken, if I'm a family who may know somebody that's struggling and battling cancer, what steps would I take to contact your group,
Yeah,
HEADstrong, and like, how what's the process in terms of who you work with, you know, what determines money, housing, the whole 9 yards?
Yep. So no, it's a great question. I think one, like we're very entrenched in the lacrosse community, right? I mean, like that is our roots. That's always going to be our roots. It's how we got started with Nick. But we support families. Obviously that you don't have to be lacrosse for us to support you, right? For us to be getting involved with you. And so one, we try and keep our finger on the pulse for anything going on in lacrosse. We love supporting those families, again, because that's our roots. In terms of, you know, our reach, we've supported now over, you know, 27,000 families, you know, all over the country. We just actually, I've got a note earlier this week, we just surpassed over 29 million in fundraising that we've had since our inception now, which is just a huge step for us. And quite an accomplishment to start with shoelaces to now where we're at is just a testament to Nick and his vision and his belief of, and to the lacrosse community that I said is in so much a big part of what we do. I think in terms of getting involved, one, you've got a family or friend, we have something called, that's currently battling. We have something called comfort kits that we send out to patients. We send them to all 50 states. You can go on our website. There's a comfort kit request form. And what a comfort kit is meant to comfort someone going through chemo treatments. We send them a package. It's got a blanket, a journal, coloring books, a lavender to help soothe, hard candies, you know, sanitizer, like a whole assortment of things that you're going to need, and notes of encouragement, you know, and what it's meant to do is let them know, it's meant to comfort them and let them know, look, they're not alone. We're here to support you. That others are here thinking of you and going through this. Our goal this year is to send out over 5,000 of those. And so like you can go online and fill that out. So, you know, we can send a comfort kit. That's one thing we can do. We also have, you know, on the website, you can find financial assistance, fill out a form, and we can start, you know, evaluating those and send out financial grants. You know, I think that, you know, I mentioned Ryan Mackey, who we had helped support on, you know, with our Lake Placid team. He reminds me so much of Nick in the sense that, you know, Ryan currently battling, has every right to be, you know, selfish in this moment. You know, I'm thinking about myself and my health and trying to battle. I've got a lot going on with me personally. And Ryan was anything but that. He was as selfless as possible. He wanted to help others during his struggle. He wanted to start a fundraiser to help buy supplies and goods and games for the hospital, Walter Reed, where he's staying at. He really felt like that he could have had more activity. If he had some more things to do, it could have helped pass the time. There's a lot of time you're spent in a hospital bed doing things. And so he wanted to start a fundraiser to buy games and activities and video games, like all these different things for the hospital. And so we helped him start a fundraiser, and they've raised a bunch of money. I got the privilege of meeting Ryan a couple of weeks ago and going to the hospital and dropping off a bunch of these goods with him, which was so incredible. And so that was one way of an example of like someone saying, hey, I want to do this. HEADstrong, can you help me do this? We can help you start a fundraiser and do this thing. Ryan, also, we've used some of that money he's raised to send financial grants to some of the families that have been in the hospital with him that he wanted to support. And so we've been able to both support in terms of supplies, support in terms of financial grants. Last year we had a fundraiser with St. Joe's in LaSalle. One of the coaches' kids is currently battling cancer. Those two teams rallied together to raise over $10,000, and we would issue a financial grant to that family. And so whether it's approaching us and saying, hey, look, this is our situation and we want to do something, can we rally around this community and this person to raise some money? We can certainly take a portion of that money and issue a grant that way. You can fill out our form online to request financial grants and services. I mentioned the comfort kits, and then also Nick's House, the same thing online. You can go on and fill out a form that an application to go in and be able to stay at Nick's House. And to better understand Nick's House too, it's just that, let's say I do live in Boston and I need to get life-saving treatment or advanced treatment down in Philadelphia. Well, now a family has to leave and pack up and go stay at a hotel or rent an Airbnb. Like, those are expenses that just, for a 3-month stay, to be able to travel and pay that off, let alone the regular bills you have for mortgage, let alone the financial medical bills that you're going to be paying, like everything starts to add up in a way that becomes insurmountable, or they can feel insurmountable. And the reality is too, that so many patients don't end up going to get advanced treatment because they can't afford it. They can't afford to go stay at it. So now you're just hoping, fingers crossed, that whatever they're doing is working. And so that's where Nick's House steps in to give every family, our goal is to really help families feel like that they've gone the distance. Not everything is going to end the best way. Like, that's the reality. Nick's situation didn't, and it's sad. And he left HEADstrong behind, but our goal is to help families feel like they did everything possible in their power to go the distance, to give it everything they had to try and, compete against this horrible, thing called cancer. And so, yeah, you can go online and find out more about those initiatives and how you can apply to be able to receive some benefits there, or reach out to myself, right? Ken at headstrong.org, reach out to my colleague, Jeff at headstrong.org. You can reach out to us and we can figure out ways to support you and ways to get engaged. So there's a number of different ways. We've continued to have people, we had a former player, at HEADstrong and fundraiser at Mustache Madness. Now he turned around and ran a golf event. Great man, Ty Martin, ran a golf event last, a couple weeks ago that ended up raising over 50,000. And so you continue to have these people that come back and want to do things and want to get involved and want to support, whether it's someone in their community or just in general. And so there's always a number of ways. I think that, we've obviously got Mustache Madness, which is for the college, athletes primarily. Game Hair Havoc, which is our, female equivalent on the women's side. We've also got Team HEADstrong, which is, we've got, it's our running team, right? So whether you're running 5Ks or 10Ks or marathons, you can be part of Team HEADstrong. You can be a part of golf events, run golf events. It really, you can do so many different things to be involved. But I think that if you're looking for support or supporting someone, certainly go on our website, headstrong.org, and looking at the services that we provide and how you can apply to receive some of that. Or like I said, email us, right? Get in touch with us, reach out on Instagram, inquire. We're always listening and hoping and always certainly helping people in the lacrosse community, but certainly not restricted to that either.
And our listeners, if they want to donate, they just go to the website as well.
Yeah. Look, you can go to headstrong.org and donate. I think mustachemadness.com if you're interested in joining, create a team, join a team, or donate there. Attack Cancer, right? attackcancer.com. You can check that out. Gamehairhavoc.com, right? Go to that website. So, HEADstrong is certainly the home base and can kind of filter you all these different ways. But attackcancer.com, mustachemadness.com, like all these different websites you can join, participate, donate. All of those things. We encourage everyone to participate or join or check it out, learn more. Yeah.
And again, October 14th is the event at BU. The women's games are in the morning, I believe, starting at 8:45. Then there's a presentation at 12:30 at the stadium, around the stadium. What is the name of the exact location for that?
It is at the rooftop, the Case Center rooftop room at BU.
Right.
And,
which is next to the field. So,
Yep.
And then you're seeing the men's games after that. They're playing, BU's playing UMass Lowell first, then they're playing Manhattan, and then Manhattan and UMass Lowell play to finish out the event. And we want to thank you so much for coming on the podcast today, Ken. Great to talk to you. I'm glad you don't hold any grudges against me for when I was writing about MLL stuff. I know all of your teammates do. They all hate me. It's really great.
I don't know if the Outlaws could be upset. They let me go. I was on the launch at that point, you know.
I mean, listen, it's really just Bocklet. I'm gonna be honest with you. Just like wishes for my death every morning. It's just it heartens me. I love it. We made up on Twitter, but I know it's fake.
Okay, that's where real things happen, right? It's on Twitter. It's all real, you know.
Oh God, I hope that's not true.
Yeah, well, yeah, I shouldn't say maybe that's not true at all. I guess I was going more off the line of like it didn't happen until you put it on social. But yeah, I shouldn't say anything's true by any means. But yeah, no, I'm so appreciative for you guys having me on. Thank you so much. Like we're so excited to be expanding into the Boston region. We're also going to be as HEADstrong Foundation attending the Massachusetts Youth Lacrosse Convention, right? Taking place that first week of February, which we've heard just wonderful things about. It seems like a great event. So we're really excited to be up there at that, continuing to just build relationships in the community. And so I encourage you, anyone, if they're up there at that, certainly stop by our booth and check it out. But yeah, guys, I love talking with you. I'd be happy to be back anytime and let me ramble here about HEADstrong and things that I'm up to and what we're doing. And yeah, I appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
It's great having you
coming on.
Nice job. Well done. Best of luck with HEADstrong, and let's get rid of cancer.
Yeah. Let's get rid of it. Let's support the families going through it. Let's make a difference. Like I said, whether it's with HEADstrong or anyone else, go out, help your community, be a great servant leader, just be involved and help make a difference. And yeah, guys, thanks so much for having me on this.
And we want to thank you again for listening to New England Lacrosse Journal's Chasing the Goal podcast. For Jack Piatelli, I'm Kyle Devitt. We'll see you next time.